privilege to welcome my direct teacher, Professor Deb Narayan Bandyopadhyay, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Bankura University. We feel honored to have him here with us to grace the occasion with his classic on classics. We have also with us our respected Principal Sir, Dr. Photik Boron Mondol, who has inspired all along to host such a lecture series. I also welcome all the faculty members of different institutions across the nation, the research scholars of different institutions, and also the students under our university as well as under other universities. Welcome to the 11th day of our international web lecture series. Now I would like to request our respected Principal Sir, Dr. Photik Boron Mondol, to give the welcome note. Sir. Principal Sir. Principal Sir, are you there? He has been disconnected. He joined here.
He's here. Let me give him a call then.
Okay. He's here. Principal Sir. Some technical, maybe network glitches are there at his end. Okay, he has come back. Our Principal Sir has come back, and now it's over to our Principal Sir to deliver the welcome note. Sir, Principal Sir.
Again, stop presenting them. You are presenting to everyone. Upper target.
Principal Sir, it's.
Hello.
Yeah, yes, sir. Please start.
Hello.
You are audible, perfectly audible.
You are audible, sir.
Presenting to the
Sir, stop presenting টা করুন তাহলে হয়ে যাবে.
There might be some problems again. So may I request our head of the department, Oyon Mondol, to welcome our Vice Chancellor Sir and also all present on the other side of the virtual platform. Oyon Mondol, sir.
A very good afternoon to everyone. On behalf of the Department of English, Bankura Christian College, I feel honored to welcome my teacher, Professor Deb Narayan Bandyopadhyay, Sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Bankura University. I feel equally privileged, rather, and unnerved to introduce.
Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Oyon, please continue. Oyon, please continue. Thereafter, sir, okay, we'll invite him.
I feel equally privileged and unnerved at the same time to introduce my teacher, Professor Devnarayan. Sir, because of audio issues, it is not clearly audible. Sir,
Hello.
yes, sir, you are audible.
Hello.
You are now audible. You are audible.
Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. I have the pleasure to start the session of International World Lecture Series organized by Bakura Christian College. Good afternoon, everybody. Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, Bakura University, Professor Devnarayan Bandyopadhyay, faculty members of our college, faculty members of other colleges, university teachers, and scholars from other institutions, and Bakura University, and my dear students. It gives me pleasure to have the Honorable Vice Chancellor today as the esteemed guest in the International World Lecture Series that is being hosted by the Department of English from June 20th onwards. Vice Chancellor Sir initially gave his consent to deliver the very inaugural lecture of this lecture series, but because of certain health issues, he could not make it on that day. It is indeed kind of him that he, despite his extremely busy administrative schedule, even during this lockdown phase, is going to break the virtual floor today with his august presence. It is an honor for the college and the department also that today we having him in a role of a renowned speaker, a renowned scholar. I find a large number of participants are participating today, and many of them, I believe, are his former students. I know that his lecture will certainly open new horizons in the academic circle, and I look forward to an academically illuminating session ahead. And once again, I wish to pay my thanks regards to our Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, Professor Devnarayan Bandyopadhyay. With these few words, I wish to hand over this virtual floor to Dr. Narigopal Mukherjee. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Photikaran Mondol has already said that we have organized this particular program so that our students can be benefited ultimately, because this is the situation when it is an urgency to go over to our students. Thank you, sir. Now may I request our head of the department, Oyon Mondol, Assistant Professor of English, Bakura Christian College, to kindly introduce our honorable guest, honorable speaker, our Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor Devnarayan Bandyopadhyay. Oyon Mondol, please.
Thank you, sir. I feel equally privileged, honored, and at the same time unnerved to introduce my teacher, Professor Devnarayan Bandyopadhyay, sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Bakura University. In fact, sir is himself a name and needs no introduction from our end. But again, this is merely a routine formal exercise on behalf of the department. Before taking his position as the first Vice Chancellor of Bakura University in 2014, Sir held numerous other official positions. To name a few, twice as the head of the Department of English in the University of Burdwan, Director of the Academic Staff College of the same university, Coordinator of UGC DRS program, etc. Professor Bandyopadhyay had been visiting research fellow of the University of New South Wales an awardee of the UKIRI, UK Indian Education and Research Initiative project on gerontology, an honorary adjunct senior fellow in the School of English, Communication and Performance Studies, Monash University, Australia, an awardee of Andrew Tannehill Fund visiting the University of Glasgow. Sir had been a Fulbright Fellow visiting Northern Illinois University in 2013, and also an Australia-India Council visiting fellow in the University of Melbourne and the Curtin University. In fact, it goes without saying that Sir is widely published nationally and internationally, and he's also a creative writer, and his poems also have been published in different journals. The academia till date looks up to Sir as a person having extraordinary mastery over the classics. And the Department of English, Bakura Christian College, feels honored and privileged to have Sir's consent to deliver a lecture on Sophocles' Oedipus the King. Over to you, my teacher, Professor Devnarayan Bandyopadhyay, sir. Sir, please.
Requesting all to kindly mute their audio and video. Please turn off your audio and video for the sake of the speaker. Please, it's my request to all present on the other side. Thank you. And sir.
Sir, please.
Thank you very much for giving this lovely introduction. I'm not really worth of all such things. It just came just away. So therefore, well, thank you very much for your very kind words. I must first of all congratulate Bakura Christian College, the Department of English, for this initiative of holding an international webinar. I'm really very much impressed. It's very well organized. I saw the list of speakers, very eminent speakers all along. I'm sure that this will benefit not only the students, but also the teachers, researchers in many different ways. Thank you very much. On behalf of Bakura University, to which Bakura Christian College is affiliated, so thank you very much for this wonderful initiative. We have with us the principal of the college, Professor Kotiboron Mondol. We have with us the Department of English, Professor Narugopal Mukherjee, Oyon Mondol, and many others, many of whom are my direct students, and a large number of participants. Thank you very much for kindly listening to me. Let me begin on a very personal note. I remember the days when I was a student at the postgraduate class in Calcutta University, and at that time, in the beginning of the second year, that was also the system of Bardwan University, which I came to know about later on. Now, in the second year, you will have to give an option. There had been several options. One was ancient European classics. Another was modern European classics. Then the third one was the American classics. And the fourth one was based on language study. These were some of the areas. Now, at that time, the students were not, driven by the idea of a career. If I take this, then I will get that job. If I take this, then that teacher will be very pleased. That was, or if I take this, I will get good marks. That was not the driving point at that time. At the time, we used to take up a special paper which would benefit me in terms of the enhancement of my knowledge. That was the system. Not just in Calcutta University, but all over West Bengal at least. And it was long back, as you can see, that it was 1972-3, around that time. So I initially took up ancient European classics. But then some of my friends said that, well, why are you taking up that old stuff? You'll have to, it's very difficult as well. You'll have to read Homer, Virgil, Horace, and so many others, Greek and Latin classics. And it will be extremely difficult. Rather, it would be better if we take up American classics. It would be better if we take up modern European classics, which gives us an idea regarding the entire European classics, including Russia. So there was a kind of contention, and finally I went to see one of our very, very senior teachers. His name was BC Ghosh, Professor BC Ghosh. Very celebrated teacher at that time. Maybe many of you have not heard of him, but he was a very learned professor. It was he who gave us wonderful introductions to the study of literature as a whole, how to study literature. However, I went to Professor P.C. Ghosh, and P.C. Ghosh suddenly said, Devnarayan, a day will come when you will thank yourselves for having taken up this special area. Because you must remember that at every stage of your appreciation of literature, you will be held back, sometimes by Homer, sometimes by Virgil, sometimes by Seneca, sometimes by Horace. At every corner of your journey through literature, you will always be held back by them. And if you don't know them, then you can't make sense of your idea of literature. I rather didn't believe. I thought that, well, she loves the subject maybe because of that. But however, I did not change my mind. I went on with ancient European classics. And later on I realized that if I had not taken up ancient European classics, and later on, if I had not studied the languages like Greek and Latin, then much of my knowledge of literature would be deficient. Even now, you can see so much of rewriting, so much of the productions of the classical stuff in many different ways. Why? That means we have to study them again and again. So when Oyun actually came up to me with the idea that I will have to say something about King Oedipus, I was really very happy. I felt very happy because it's also a drama very much after my heart. I have actually read most of them, and most of the plays written by them, Aeschylus, Sophocles, Euripides, all of them. But I like Sophocles the most. Not following Aristotle, but I personally think that it's really great. Now, let us come to a point. How to begin reading Sophocles' King Oedipus? In fact, you know, it is useless to begin the text all at once. No use. If we don't know the background, then it is absolutely useless, and I'm sorry that I will not be able to give so much of time today because I'm just recovering. So that's why I think that I'll be able to make it within 1 hour, but many things will remain unsaid. But well, let me try to share some of my ideas. In fact, if we want to read Sophocles' King Oedipus, then we have to read about the socio-political history of the time. Now, if we go back to Aeschylus, the earlier dramatist, if we go back to Aeschylus, we find that he actually passed his life through the golden time of Athens, the golden period of Athens. That was the time of Pericles. And he died just before the beginning of the Peloponnesian War. What is this Peloponnesian War? The war between, it's for the students, the teachers all know. It's a battle between the famous battle or infamous battle between Athens and Sparta. Long 30 years battle, even before that. It's not that it was a continued battle, but it was an intermittent sort of battle. That means the battle is going on again, coming to an end again. It starts in this way. It continued for long 30 years, but it destroyed the entire backbone of Greek culture as a whole. That's why sometimes in the normal history books we find that Athens was defeated by Sparta. Sparta proved itself to be victorious. But that's wrong. Actually, nobody was victorious. It was a kind of battle in which officially we could say that Athens was defeated, but it was not a defeat. In fact, it is a defeat of the entire Greek culture. Because Sparta, after that, just disappeared, slipped out of history. Because of the sudden emergence of the Persian powers. That's a different history, I'll not go into that. But however, this Peloponnesian War actually marked the bad time of Athens through which Sophocles had to pass through. So had to Euripides. So naturally you can see that there is a basic difference between the tragic vision of Aeschylus and the tragic vision of Sophocles and Euripides. But well, before you go into that, I must very briefly, I want to very briefly give you, messages are coming, official messages, I can't now respond. However, now let me just very briefly talk about the brief history of tragedy as such, the emergence of drama in Greece. As you know that in all domains of history, we find that religion or theodicy is to some extent related to the development of drama, as it happened in England. It is through the worship of Dionysus that we find the emergence of drama. But who was Dionysus? Dionysus was actually a rural god, a god of the farmers, a god of plantations, a god of vegetation. This was Dionysus. And Dionysus was a suffering god. He was an illegitimate child of the Greek god Zeus's relationship with Semele. And as a result, Zeus's wife Semele, Hera, was essentially annoyed. And therefore, he began to be driven from this place to that place, and Zeus wanted to conceal this young child. His mother was dead through the evil mechanisms of Hera, the goddess Hera. And then now the child, so therefore, Zeus hid him on Mount Nisus. Mount Nisus is in modern Iran, that is old Persia. Nisus means trees. So Dionysus means, Dio means God, God of the trees. So his initial identity is that he's the god of the trees. And therefore, in an extended way, he's the god of the farmers. So naturally, when the farmers have completed their labors in the field, when there is termination of labor, they would require festivity. So in summer, they had one termination of labor, and that was the summer festival of god Dionysus. And again, winter. It was the time when the wine was ready, when the crops were also collected. So therefore, it was also a termination of labor, and again, the winter festival of god Dionysus. Now, critics like Professor A.E. Haig have suggested that it is the summer festival which is associated with the birth of tragedy, and it is the winter festival which is associated with the birth of comedy. Why so? Because it was in the summer festival that the chorus, the singers, the choric singers would sing a song in praise of the gods. And this was called the Dithyramb. Dithyramb, Dithyramb. Dithyramb actually was a song in praise of the gods. So in this Dithyramb, in the summer festival, in this particular Dithyramb, they would sing the suffering life of Dionysus, and therefore associated with the birth of tragedy. And in the winter festival, there was a group of revelers. They were called Kommos, K-O-M-M-O-S, Kommos, which means revelers, people making enjoyments, making merriments. And their Dithyramb was full of lightheartedness or even pithy remarks against certain social systems, against certain people as well, And it's from this that the idea of comic satire developed. So that's why A.E. Haig once again suggests that it's the Winter Festival that is associated with the birth of comedy. And this is something which has been also described to us long back by Aristotle in his Politics, when he is discussing the birth of tragedy and comedy in his Politics. Very briefly, some of the pages are not there, lost. However, let me give you some idea regarding the early practitioners. Now, this was traditionally the system that during these two festivals, the society will develop a sense of merriment all around, and they will express their merriment through the songs, the dithyrambs. And this continued for long, long time. And then comes two dramatists called Arion, A-R-I-O-N, Arion and Thespis. It's from the name of Thespis that we have several words like thespian, etc. Now, Arion and Thespis, they may be regarded as the earliest singers and people responsible for foreshadowing the birth of drama proper. Now, as you can see that dithyramb was originally folk song. These were folk songs sung in rustic festivals around the figure of Dionysus. And Arion may be regarded as the first playwright to have developed a sense of drama. Now, Arion, who was Arion? Arion actually was a famous harp player. In the dithyramb, during the dithyramb sessions, he used to play on the harp, and he was quite famous as a harp player. And there are several credits given to him because he wanted to bring about certain changes in the practice of dithyrambs. Number one, he, for the first time, decided on the number of the singers. There was earlier no distinctive arrangement on the number of singers. Any number would do, but Arion is regarded as a playwright, or as the, I would say, I cannot really talk about him as a playwright. I would just talk about him as a singer. However, he brought about some changes. He restricted it to 50 singers. And then again, the antistrophic arrangement. This is a topic to which I'll come back later on if I have time. Antistrophic arrangement actually is an arrangement in the chorus. Strophe and antistrophe. This is how the choric songs used to be balanced. Now, this antistrophic arrangement is regarded as the discovery of Arion. This is also very, very important. So that's why if you read the chorus, say in Sophocles' King Oedipus or any others, actually in such penguin editions, you will never find the distinctions. But if you read the proper editions like R.C. James or even Coleridge's nephew, perhaps, he knew Greek very well and he translated In Bardon University Library, I came across wonderful volumes. And there he is making distinctions of strophe and antistrophe of the choric songs. That means there is a very meticulous balancing in the choric songs. That means what is strophe? An argument. What is antistrophe? A counter argument. Again followed by strophe 2, another argument, followed by antistrophe, counter argument. That's why you will see that King Oedipus is not just a play like Aeschylus, full of lyrical grandeur. It is rather full of arguments. I'll talk about that later on. And another, you know that it is here that we have to know certain bits of history. Actually, it was the first migration to Greece took place, as historians say, around 2200 BC. There may be certain, flexibilities, but well, more or less 2200 BC. And then after that, and they were called the Achaeans. The Achaeans. And they are referred to like that in Homer's Iliad. This was number one. And then again, in 1200 BC, in 1900 BC, there had been another migration. Migration meaning invaders, not just migrants, but invaders. In 1900 BC, there was a kind of invasion, and they also came and got merged with the Greek race. And then after that, in 1200 BC, another invasion or migration took place, and they were the Dorians. They were the Dorians. Now, the Dorians were a militant race. If you remember your Milton Paradise Lost Book 4, then you will remember the phrase, the Dorian phalanx. Phalanx means the line of army. The Dorian line of army. The angels are standing in front of Satan, and then Milton describes them as the Dorian phalanx, the militant line of the Dorian warriors. Right. Now, as you have read Plato's Republic, many of you must have read Plato's Republic, book 3. There, Plato is referring to different kinds of music. What kind of music is the ideal kind of music in his ideal republic? That is what he is discussing. And what kind of music he considers to be very acceptable? He says, Dorian. Why Dorian? There are mixed Lydians, there are Phrygians, but he is not accepting them. He is not accepting Lydian, he is not accepting mixed Lydian, he is not accepting the Phrygian, he is accepting only the Dorian. These are all tribe music. Different kinds of tribes, included into mainland Greece, brought with them their own kinds of music. Now, this is very important in order to read Sophocles' King Oedipus, because you will find it very important. However, so the Dorians brought with them, Plato accepts them because there is gravity and seriousness. That's why he accepts that. And it is in the 5th century BC that there was a change. There was a gradual change from what Plato said also. By the time Sophocles begins to write, and by the time, especially when Aeschylus is gradually declining and will be dying in a few years, at that time, there was a gradual replacement of the Dorian sense of gravity by the Phrygian sense of emotional sublimation or emotional musicality. Now, Arian brings this. Arian brings about this transformation from the Dorian gravity to Phrygian emotional musicality in drama. And finally, this is most important, the fourth point. This is the insertion of spoken verses. As you can see, Dithyram, what is Dithyram? Dithyram is song. Song in praise of gods. 50 people are singing in praise of God. A kind of episode selected from the life of the god, and they are singing this. That's all. But there was no conversation. There was no dialogue. Now, I'm not also talking about dialogue. I'm just talking about the spoken verses. Someone will at least speak something, not sing. Arian was the first to bring about the spoken verses. And it is here we must very briefly know about the formation of the chorus. I've said that it was approximately 50 singers. But there should be always a leader of the group of chorus. And he was considered always to be the first actor. First actor, remember this. He would be the first actor, and he is the person who was allowed by Arian to speak. Speak to whom? To the people? To the audience? That means he will explain certain parts. They have completed some parts of their song. Now he is making some comments on that. Or he is giving some explanation on that. Or he is giving some advice on that. Don't you see that? This is the function of the chorus that we later begin to follow. Not only in chorus, but also in the choric characters. Remember Enobarbus in Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra. Remember the fool in King Lear. So that's how, this is the originary point of the function of the chorus. The chorus is someone who makes a bridge between the stage and the audience. How? By commenting on what is happening on the stage. By explaining certain things on what is happening on the stage. By also giving the advice, required advice. This is the kind of system that you will find Horace also follows in his Ars Poetica, written much later. So therefore, these are the four very distinctive developments brought about by Arian. And then comes Thespis. Thespis, if Arian is credited with giving us the spoken verses, that means a character will speak. Then Thespis brings about the first character on the stage. Introduction of an actor, this is his first, contribution. And moreover, impersonation of character Previously, there was no impersonation of character. Previously, it was just song. And we all know that it is the story of Dionysus. But it is for the first time that we find the impersonation of an actor, impersonation of a character. And it is in this way that the choric singers become the witness. All the choric singers become the witness. That is a strength as well as weakness. Because in front of the chorus, many things happen. People are killed, people commit suicide, but they remain silent as if they don't know. That is the weakness. But however, so impersonation of actor, then separation of narrative and dramatic. The song was the narrative. In the sense, Homer's Iliad is a narrative. But Sophocles' King Oedipus is dramatic. But in a drama, the kind that had been written by Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides, there's always an admixture of the narrative and the dramatic. The choric song is the narrative and the dramatic. And it is he who, for the first time, brings about a separation of the narrative and the dramatic poetry. And also, I must tell you something about another very important writer. Previously, it was all about Dionysus. That means Dionysus is the central character. Everything is taking place around Dionysus. But certain things happened in 494 BC. Remember the name of this dramatist. His name is Phrynicus. 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 I'm saying this for the students. Phrynicus wrote a play in 494 BC. It was called Capture of Miletus. Miletus actually was one of the Greek city-states, and it was captured by the Parthians. Darius actually captured the city of Miletus, and this is in fact a
Hello, sir.
Sir has been disconnected.
Let me check, sir.
No, he's here.
There are some network issues.
Okay. Sir, are you there? DNB, sir?
Let me give him a call, sir.
But then he will be disconnected.
He can rejoin.
Okay.
Chup, chup.
Professor Bandyopadhyay is joining. Let us wait for some time, sir. I've given him a call.
Okay.
শোনা যাচ্ছে?
Yes,
শোনা যাচ্ছে?
yes, sir. You are
স্যার
audible.
শোনা যাচ্ছে স্যার।
You are audible now.
So this is how actually we find that for the first time there is a human element in drug, and that again before Aeschylus of these activities in 494 BC. Now, I will also briefly talk about because I think I don't have much time. I'll just go into the play. But before that,
স্যার, হ্যালো।
He is once again most probably disconnected. No, he's here.
No, he's very much here. Sir? Sorry, we have to bear with the technical glitches.
It is okay, Oyon. We were waiting for him.
I think he will rejoin once again. Please wait. Let us wait for some time. Dr. Narugopal Mukherjee, could you please give sir a call? Because if I time and again call him, there is chance of this entire thing losing connection.
Okay, I'm calling him. Okay. I'm calling him. Okay, I just called him and he's saying that he has been trying to come back. Okay, so to wait patiently, please bear with us. These technical glitches are always there, in online.
Absolutely.
Yeah. virtual platform is after all not actual platform. Okay, sir is back. Sir, are you there? DND,
Yes,
sir?
I'm here
Yeah.
now. I'm here.
Yes, sir. Yes. Sir, you are audible, sir. Please go on.
Okay. I was talking about the judgment. In fact, there have been two festivals. One was the City Dionysia festival. It is here that Skillers became the winner for several times. I don't exactly remember, maybe more than 18 times. And it is here that Sophocles defeated Aeschylus. Although, and it was so tense that 10 military generals had to be employed during the time of the judgment, so that there is no confusion. So you can see that they developed a very scientific arrangement for making judgments on the plays. And I'm not talking about the Dionysia and all that. It's a huge topic, but let me just try to talk about very briefly about that. Number one, they would first of all create, it was a festival actually. There would be a statue of Dionysus and it will be carried from the city temples to the place of performance. Then there will be elaborate sacrifices of goats. It's from that we get the term tragodoia. Right. So it is the sacrifice followed by hymns, dithyrambs, etc. And then they used to create a musical hall, which was known as Odeon, Odeon. I remember in the 60s there was a musical company which was called Odeon. There may be records in some households. Now, this Odeon Music Hall was constructed near the place of the theatrical performance. And this was called pro-agon. That means before the conflict, before the competition. Right. And just as it happens nowadays in the book fairs, similarly, they used to show honors to the distinguished people who have devoted themselves to the service of Athens. It may be a patriotic cause, it may be military cause, it may be political cause, whatever, but they should shower honors on them. And then also the theater originally was not made of stone. As you can see now, if you have a look at the ancient theater of Athens, it is on the internet, you will see that it is made of stone. But originally it was not made of stone, it was made of wood. It was made of earth and wood, but that was burned down. But let me tell you that it was not all very pure. The judgment was vitiated many times by corruption, by intimidation of judges, and this is reported by Demosthenes, Quintilian, Aulus Gellius, etc. They have reported that there are corruptions and there are intimidation of the judges, and they cannot impartially give the judgments. And then the questions of bribes. Aristophanes has very definitely referred to the fact that there were bribes given to the judges sometimes, and he refers to that in his very famous play, comic play, Bards. And then there were threats, and threats of many different kinds. That means if you don't give your judgment in favor of someone, then your house will be burned, your crops will be burned, or whatever, like that. And Aristophanes once again refers to that. However, what was the system of the judgment? They would form a committee of 10 judges. Right. 10 judges, and they were called grammateion. Grammateion in Greek. Grammateion means open tablets. Previously, at that time, you will find that if you read Last Days of Pompeii, were famous historical romance written by Edward Bulwer Lytton. There you will see that they are writing letters on such tablets, which is called grammateion. And these tablets were made of stone with a clay covering, thin film of wax. I'm sorry, not clay, wax. So thin film of wax overlaid on the, stone tablet. That was called grammateion. And on grammateion, the judges would be provided, 10 judges would be provided 10 grammateion, 10 tablets. Now, after the performance, they will write the name of someone who should be considered to be the winner and put it in a particular place. And it should be all be done in open place. The grammateion will be now collected, and in open place they will find out, but not 10 of them will be taken up. They will just, in a haphazard manner, they will just take up 5 of them. That's why it is called pentakriton. Pentakriton meaning, penta means 5 and kriton means judges. Pentakriton. 5 judges. So 5 judgments will just taken out from them. Right. And on the basis of that, the winner will be announced. So this was a kind of system. So now you can see that writing a play in ancient times and becoming famous by writing a play was not very easy, even at that time. And it was very complicated. And Aeschylus and Sophocles actually brought about different kinds of, changes. I don't have much time. I'll just now get into the play. In fact, Sophocles has been a writer who saw good times and bad times. He saw the wonderful time of Pericles and also saw the decline. The battle between Sparta and Athens, the dark days when plague almost devastated Athens. 1 lakh people died of plague at that time. Also half the travel. And let me tell you something about the bear with me. Yes. Now, if we consider the play, Sophocles as King Oedipus, we know that it's called Oedipus Tyrannus in Greek. Oedipus means oedi, paus. Oedi means swollen, paus means feet, a man with swollen foot, a king with swollen foot. So Oedipus is his name. It is why swollen foot? Because when he was born, he was considered to be ill-fated. So his father actually nailed both his feet, and then he was sent to the top of Mount Kithaeron so that he dies there out of bleeding, but he didn't die because another shepherd took care of him. But the swelling remained. That's why Oedipus. Tyrannus actually means the king originally. But gradually there was a debasement of meaning. It came to uphold the principle of torture, oppression, etc. So that's why tyranny is a negative word nowadays. Well, if we consider, if we did the first, the first prologus by King Oedipus, there you will see the mention of the name Cadmus. You'll also find the mention of the name Labdacus. Who are these people? How is he related to them? And what is the point of relation? And if we don't know the relation, then it's no use reading the play. In fact, you know, King Oedipus is a story of migration, as also of cards. The myth, I would recommend all of you, all the students to read Robert Graves' very famous book, The Greek Myths. Previously in our time, it was in 2 volumes. Now, 1 volume, the entire book in 1 volume is available. You'll read the myths of King Oedipus. Now, what happens? There was a king called Aeginor, Aegenor, Aeginor. He was a king of Phoenicia, which is near modern Lebanon. He was a king, and his daughter, Europa, suddenly disappeared and was lost. Then Aeginor commanded his 5 sons to go out in search of Europa. Where has she gone? And where has she established herself? So therefore, all his sons went here and there. One of them was Cadmus. C-A-D-M-U-S, Cadmus. Cadmus ultimately reached Delphi, the city of Delphi, which plays a very important part. He brings with him his own religion. And he finds that the women worshippers are worshipping there. Who are these? That's why Apollo, this name, as Jen Harrison very wonderfully has said, that Apollo is not a native Greek name. It's a migrant word. Apollo later on became the sun god and whatever he is, but he might have come from abroad. So therefore, Apollo was placed there, but worshippers could not be replaced. Worshippers, that's why it's a peculiar kind of temple, where you find the women worshippers and the male god. Right. So whatever it is, so Cadmus came there, and then he was instructed to go to a place called Thebes. And here in Thebes, after a lot of struggles and difficulties, and there was a curse also on him, as a result of that, he had to go in for servitude for 1 long year. And then after that, everything was settled. The indigenous people of Thebes ultimately accepted Cadmus. And then there was a marriage. The royal queen was Harmonia. And just remember, try to consider the names. Harmonia. Harmonia was married to Cadmus. And as a result of that, the Theban dynasty begins. The Cadmeian dynasty begins. And then after that, we find Cadmus and Harmonia had a daughter. There have been many sons and most of them died. There was one daughter whose name was Simile. I referred to her earlier in my lecture. Semele, Simile. Simile actually was had a sexual interaction with King Zeus and gave birth to Dionysus. So Dionysus also comes to be related with this family, and he emerges as a suffering god. So everywhere there is this sense of suffering and tragedy. Simile commits suicide by drowning herself. And then after that, we find Labdacus. He had a very brief reign. He died because there was a curse in the family that nobody will be able to reign very long. Labdacus' son was Laius, Laius, Laius. What was Laius' sin? Laius actually was a happy-go-lucky prince. He went to the city of Pelops, Pelops, city of Pelops, and there he had an unholy relationship with a young man called Chrysippus. It was a forced relationship with Chrysippus, and Chrysippus, out of shame, killed himself, and then naturally the king of Pelops was very much annoyed and cursed him. What was the curse? He said, as you have vitiated my son, as a result, you will have no power to give birth to a son. Even if you give birth to a son, that son will kill you. Laius heard this curse, but he didn't mind. He thought that this is just useless. And the sin that he committed with Chrysippus brought about this curse in the family. And then he got back to Thebes. By the time Labdacus died, he became the king, and his wife was Eucaste. In different versions, different names have been given, but I don't have much time to discuss that. But however, this is the curse. As a result of that, you know that he died in the hands of Oedipus. And Oedipus' son, that curse continues. Polynices and Eteocles, they were the two sons. They killed each other. And it is in this way the Theban legend comes to an end. Now, how do we consider the nature of this curse? Actually, you know, it has been very often in Greek ideology, it has been very often regarded as the working of destiny. And in Greek terminology, there is a word called moira, M-O-I-R-A, moira, destiny. M-O-I-R-A, moira means destiny. And it is related to another word, which is again Ananke, A-N-A-N-K-E, A-N-A-N-K-E, Ananke. Ananke means necessity. Necessity. So it is the destiny, and therefore it is the necessity. And it is this joined together that brings about Dike, D-I-K-E, or justice. So Laius' relationship with the son of Pelops brings about this curse in the family. There's a curse of the Pelops that actually runs within the family. So therefore, we find different versions, but Homer. Now, what is the problem in accepting this curse or accepting this destiny, etc.? Because if we read Homer's in Iliad, both in Iliad and Odyssey, we find that the Oedipus story is given there. That is the first, description of the Oedipus story in Iliad. Iliad, it is said that there was a king called Oedipus in Thebes, yes, and he killed his father, and unfortunately, unknowingly, he married his mother, and it was found out, but nothing could be done. So Oedipus reigned even after that for 18 years and died normally in a battlefield. It's a story given by Homer. Hesiod also gives the same kind of story. So what is it that suddenly brings about this change? Again, I am going back to the Dorian migration. The Dorian influence was very strong in Thebes. And many of the Dorian families used to claim their descent from Thebes, from Oedipus. Now, if this version is accepted that he killed his father, married his mother, etc., sort of thing, incest and parricide,
Let us wait, please. I think there are some network issues at Sir's end, so he will rejoin.
Do you think if Sir turns, if you're okay, if Sir turns off his camera, then he might have better bandwidth? Is that a possibility?
So should we request that to Sir?
Yes, possibly. I'm Sharmita Lahiri, IIT Gandhinagar. I have been a student of Sir, and currently I am also a faculty. So I joined in, and I think, sometimes if he puts the camera off, then he might have better bandwidth.
Okay, ma'am. Let's join.
No, Sharmita is fine. We're colleagues. Okay, thank you.
Should I call?
Yes, yeah. And once you tell him to join, then once he joins, he might put off his camera because the camera does draw a lot of bandwidth.
Okay. Sir, please give him a call.
Sorry, I can't reach him. Okay. Hello.
Okay, sir. Let me see what I can do.
Okay. No, sorry, Oyon. He's not reachable. Oyon, could you please call him? Oyon? Oyon, do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Could you make him a call? Because at my end, I find it unreachable.
Yeah, somehow he might have got disconnected completely. Let me see, sir.
Okay, I
I
don't know
tried
whether
calling him twice.
I don't know whether the phone has got enough charge, battery has got
Yeah,
enough charge. That might be an issue.
trying once again, sir.
Yeah, please try. At my end, I find it to be unreachable. We're extremely sorry, and thank you all for your patient hearing and for your yeah, for your waiting here, patient waiting.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
He's joining. He's joining.
Okay.
Let us wait.
We are extremely sorry, and we had just made a contact with our sir, honorable speaker, Sir Naran Bandyopadhyay. Am I audible, Oyon?
You're audible, sir. Yeah.
Okay. So this is an announcement. We could just make a contact with Professor Devnarayan Bandyopadhyay, sir, and he has said that there are certain technical problems, technical glitches at his end, and not only that, the battery of his phone does not have enough of charge, and so he doesn't want to come back again. He says that the same problem will recur, and so he wants to address the audience once again on another day, but on which day we can't really make it right now, which we can't really make it clear right now. So as you know, there is no one is really responsible, only the network is responsible. But we are extremely sorry on behalf of the organizers. We apologize sincerely to our audience, to those who are sitting over there, either on YouTube platform or here on Google Meet platform. We are extremely sorry, and hopefully tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, there could be another session, special session for our DNB sir, that means Professor Devnarayan Bandyopadhyay sir. So now it's up to Oyan Mandal sir. Over to Oyan Mandal sir. Oyan?
Yes, yes.
Are you there?
Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
Okay, I request my colleague, Professor Shivajyoti Karmakar, to formally deliver a vote of thanks. Sir is extremely sorry that he could not make it, but sir has promised us that he will join in a day or two. We will have a talk with sir and we will announce the date very soon. Professor Karmakar, are you there? Professor Shivajyoti Karmakar? Yes, please.
We are unfortunate that we have to face some technical problems, but again we have to accept it because these are very common. I feel privileged enough to propose on behalf of the Department of English, Bakura Christian College, our indebtedness to Professor Devnarayan Bandyopadhyay, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Bakura University, for such an insightful, illuminating, extraordinary discussion on Oedipus the King. We are unfortunate that we have not been able to listen to him properly. Sir, we acknowledge with due respect your support and solidarity with our initiative to help the students and the researchers, as well as accepting our invitation and delivering such a wonderful lecture that makes us think and motivate to learn further. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I take this opportunity of thanking our principal, Dr. Fotik Borun Mondol, who graced the virtual floor today by greeting Honorable Vice Chancellor in this special session. I also thank all faculty members from other institutions, research scholars, and students who participated in who has participated in this particular session. We will meet tomorrow at 11 a.m. with two eminent speakers, Dr. Sumon Jana, former Associate Professor of English, Vivekananda Mahavidyalaya, Part 1, and Dr. Antara Mukherjee, Assistant Professor of English, Government Girls General Degree College, Iqbalpur, Kolkata. Our Google Meet forum will open 45 minutes before the commencement of the lecture. Thank you, sir. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Over to you all.
Thanks a lot. So we will meet again at 11 a.m. tomorrow. And again, I apologize on behalf of the department for the technical cliches and things like that. But we hope to listen to sir again sometime very shortly. Thank you so much.